Welcome to another Sales Wisdom Pod. We have Fred Copestake with us today. Fred is an author, a trainer, a coach. He's working with engineering and manufacturing sales team, so that's quite interesting to me. I'm gonna have a bunch of questions on that. And he says, selling has changed. Have you? So I'm curious to see how sales have changed in the last 20 years. Of course, I know it did, but curious to ask Fred how it did. So, Fred, if you want to go check his book, you can go and search hybrid selling. You can search selling through partnering skills. He also has a pod, Sells Today. So you can check that out. This pod is presented to you by podware.com. That's my podcasting company. If you want to start your own podcast, scale your own podcast, go to podware.com. Fred, welcome to Pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Yeah, no. I mean, you've nailed it. You've done it on the introduction, haven't you? That's what I do. I hang around with salespeople and try and help them adapt a more collaborative approach to the way they go about selling. I think that's kind of where one of the shifts, or certainly one of the biggest shifts that we've seen in sales over the last few years. Um, so yeah, that's what I do when I'm not watching rugby and chilling out.
So how has well, first, what do you mean by collaborative sales? You mean like collaborating with their team to actually sell? What do you mean by collaborative sales?
It's a mindset. It's a mindset thing. And if you think about sales over the last number of years, there's always been like little developments from we went from kind of like using process to like personality style selling, consultative selling in the 90s, big change. I mean, that moved us away from like close stuff. And then even over the last few years or the last years from the 90s on, where we went through value-based selling and into this kind of, even social selling, you might say. For me, it's just the next iteration where we use a lot of that stuff that's gone on before, but we position ourselves alongside customers to work together on stuff. So that's what I mean by collaborative. And that's what the first book's about. It's if you think like a partner, so even if you aren't going into full partnership, you think like a partner, you collaborate more, you work on stuff better together. And it's those little shifts that will mark out that people are being more successful today than the ones that are still trying to hammer away doing it old style.
Right. I certainly like that approach. Like I try to always give value in my calls. I also try to just see if we're a good fit, because I know myself, that's for sure. And then I can ask a couple of questions. So identify the psychometrics of the client I have in front of me, see about their ambitions, see if they're the neurotic type or if they're the calm type, like I'd like to work with the second type, and just see if they're a good fit for my program. And if they're not, I'm straight up gonna tell them and probably gonna refer them to either like using the software that I use for like a couple of $100 per month, or even refer them to the competitor. How do you sell nowadays? Like, let's say that you have a 30 minutes discovery call with someone. How do you sell? What kind of questions you ask? What's the structure?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it takes two to tango, right? So, you want to understand, do they have a similar kind of mental fit to you? Um, the way that I would sell, so I do a lot of promotional activity. So, I produce the podcast, the books, the LinkedIn posts, webinars. I mean, put all that stuff out there. So hopefully people will have consumed some stuff by the time we have a conversation. So they'll know something about, what it is we do. So that then in the conversation, what I will do is I talk about these three main challenges that salespeople have. I talk about being busy, oldie worldy, and muddled mindset. We talk about that stuff in the webinar. So people would have seen that. I'll have explained it. And so I can go in and say, hey, that stuff you saw me talk about, to what degree is that affecting your sales team? So I use those questions for which they've already seen what it's about to spark the kind of what kind of need have we got there. I also use a scorecard. So 35 questions that people can ask, takes about 5 minutes. I have that open and I can see some of the answers that people have put on there. So again, that scorecard's designed to give people insight, to get them thinking and doing stuff. But it also helps me in the way I have the question. But for me, the discovery now is one of the big changes from we ask questions to understand stuff so we can give a solution and be a real hero. Whereas wrong way around, we're using that to help people think And by helping people think, they can start to realize that, yeah, there's stuff that they can do and they can do better. And then we can start to collaborate on that. So
And
that's just some of the sort of tactics and stuff I use.
who do you sell to nowadays?
So I mean, you said it. Manufacturing engineering companies, I tend to prefer. It's where I've done a lot of work in the past, and that's a big world. It can be machines, it can be trucks, it can be chicken nuggets, it can be chemicals, it can be all sorts of things. And so the ideal conversations is normally with a sales director, VP sales, who's got a team and is open to doing stuff and kind of moving them on. And then particularly in that world, there's often quite a lot of scope for raising the level that they're at, because quite a few have got stuck doing stuff that kind of as they always have. When we open their eyes to, hey, look, brave new world out there, that's when we can start doing some cool stuff.
It's a nice segment to sell to. It's definitely people with deep pockets. Me, usually I get crickets when I talk to them, maybe because that's why I'm so obsessed with technology and I just speak a different language, and they're afraid of these words that I throw at them. And I mean, it's also on purpose because I know my CP, right? They're tech savvy and so forth, and they're serial entrepreneurs. How do you sell to these folks? Is it ABM? Who do you reach out to? Do you use cold email? And what's the message that you use? Do you go with pain points or do you try to speak with their language?
Yeah, I mean, really, you've got to speak the language of the client. If you're not doing it, you're not one of them. And why do they want to speak to you? Which is why if you go kind of mega techie on them, talk about say SDRs and stuff like that, it's like they don't have them. They don't work like that. It makes no sense whatsoever. They don't know what one is, you know. So yeah, you understand their world and start to use that. And yeah, problem prospecting. Say this is the sort of stuff that we will see going on in your world. And like I've said before, it's I've kind of identified bigger picture challenges, which is why I wrote the book, and I'll use those as a broader way in, and that's what my content and everything else is about. So then on the sort of the more specific prospecting, yeah, it's coming back to that. I try and keep all the I try. I don't always happen, but I try and keep all the stuff I say and do in my lane, talking about collaborative selling. But yeah, I sometimes step out and get distracted, talk about other stuff.
And let's say that I launch an outreach campaign to them and I want to be successful. Who should I reach out to via cold email? And is it like me asking ChatGPT to come up with a bunch of keywords that they use, the problems that they face? And I don't know, going like really slow. Should I start with a lead magnet? How would you go if you would launch a cold email campaign today?
Yeah, cold email's tough into this market because they just get a lot of stuff, and if they don't really recognize who it's from, it's gone. Um, ChatGPT can help because ChatGPT can be the person, can't it? So you can understand who they are, what they're bothered about, what pains they have, and start to call those out. Um, I think probably needs something a little bit stronger than cold email. It is something that we've been trying recently. With that very punchy, very stripped back, Justin Michael style thing. And yeah, I'm not sure it's getting brilliant response from them. Uh, I think we need to get on the phone. or lumpy mail. Maybe lumpy mail, something that catches their attention. So I need to send more books out. I think I'm starting a brilliant asset. I'm not sure I use it enough. Um, I'd sent someone a shoe the other day. I put a shoe in the post. I
Shoot.
said that I wanted to get the foot in the door. They thought it was really funny, and it helped me get past the gatekeeper because they truly didn't know what I was talking about when I said that I wanted to talk to them about the shoe I'd sent. She
Did
got a
you
bit
send the
confused.
other
She said,
shoe to
just
their
just
competition?
well, yeah, that's it works. So obviously it works for that style. So yeah, it's I think creativity in whichever sector you're selling into, people respond to that because there's just so much noise. There's so much going on. There's a lot of people trying to take the shortcuts and do the easy stuff, doing a little bit extra, standing out a little bit. That'll get people's attention. So I think we're heading more than ever towards quality over quantity and that kind of creativity and super, hyper relevance, hyper personalization.
Interesting. So I'm guessing if I'd have, I mean, I can be very good at cold email. That's what I do on a daily basis. I'm pretty sure I can reach out to them. I think my problem is I use way too much slang, JM style as well, because JM's a coach of mine, great guy altogether. So minimize the slang, I would guess, and probably go with empathy with like hold your hands type of emails because yeah, maybe I'm going like way too fast and they're like, what is this kid talking about? And they just like shut the door on me. Maybe if I try to not assume anything and guide them with very basic concepts and talk about coaching and holding their hands throughout the way, setting up system and teaching the whole team. I think that could be a great approach.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's unfair to say they are more traditional industries. They think more traditionally. They will have a lot of success doing what they've always done. They will still be successful. They're around, and their customers will respond to it. So in some instances, they're not feeling the pain as acutely as a founder in SaaS who needs to get a load of money really quick and impress investors. Otherwise, he's done. Um, there is huge opportunity though. There's one of the things I'm trying to say, and of course it's not strong as pain, is it? Gain isn't as strong as pain, which is, hey, look, somebody's going to come in and say, hey, why are we doing it like this? Why don't we do it this way? And they'll be the first to do it. They'll capture the imagination of the market. Customers will love it, and everyone will end up having to do it. But while nobody's doing that, people are going, well, why are we going to be the first to make that change? So it is softly, softly catchy monkey. Yeah, I think you're probably right.
What are you selling the most nowadays? Because you have a book, you have your consulting services, have a whole array of offers. So tell us about all of these offers, the accelerator included, and tell us about what you're selling the most nowadays.
Yeah, well, the highest value, which I don't sell as many of quantity wise, but you don't need to sell as many, is the accelerator. So that's the full on all singing, all dancing, 12-week program, 6 virtual instructor led modules, six um, coaching sessions so that people are kind of learning stuff, applying stuff, learning stuff, applying stuff, and it's all about implementational information. That's one of my little mantras. You can sit someone down for a 4-day course and go, here, have this, bosh, 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 bosh. And they're like, whoa, hit lunchtime day one, they're already full. Um, whereas the accelerator, where that's an in-company program where people will come on it and we're applying stuff in real time. That's the jewel in the crown, if you like, and that's what we really concentrate on. A lot of the other things are like the book and stuff. That's probably, if not lead magnet, it's leading people towards that. And then some of the other stuff, a bit more tactical interventions, are because the time and the place is right for certain customers, and I want to spread the word ultimately about collaborative selling. So we go for that.
Right. Then how do you use the podcast to get clients or get insights? What are your goals? And yeah, have you accomplished the goals you set for yourself for the pod?
No, because I lost concentration and went down the wrong route. Part of the thinking was that it would be a mix of interviewing authors, subject matter experts, who are actually very easy to interview because their thinking is very clear. And you can ask a question, they'll give you the answer they're going to give anyway. They're like politicians. I do the same. Because they've spent the time and effort to clarify. The other half was supposed to be sales directors. Get them on, um, because they're interesting guys. I've then got to work hard on the interview, yes, but then it's given a chance to have a conversation with them about stuff. Um, so it's networking to a degree, if you think about it, but it's producing decent content. It's helping them put the names and stuff out there. But I kind of got a bit too far down the track of just chatting to all my mates who've written books and forgotten half the reason for doing it. So that's a resolution for 24. So if you're a sales director and you're listening to this and you think you've got interesting stuff to say, get in touch and we will have a chat.
And how do you filter these people? Because I had a bunch of authors on the pods. A lot of them were quite boring. They just have a book as a front end to get more business. It's not that they're critical thinkers. They just recycled a bunch of stuff they've been told before. And for sales director, I actually love salespeople more than I love authors because they have guts, you know, they have grit. But yeah, some of them as well were like I already knew all this stuff they shared. So how do you filter these folks to make sure that they're good fit for your audience?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn, I hang around on LinkedIn probably too much for my own good. God, there's some boring stuff on there. But there are people who you can see who clearly understand the game, as in the book and how they're promoting it, how they talk about it, how they put themselves across. They'll tend to do more video. They'll so you can hear them. You know, they're kind of auditioning themselves, if you like. It's like, oh, that guy looks pretty cool. That girl looks pretty cool. I want to talk to them. With sales director, again, if they are using LinkedIn, that's a good thing because they're thinking a bit more about their messaging. And that means that at least they're going to like their own like their own episode when it gets dropped. But that would be my key. I mean, I haven't yet approached anybody that isn't doing some element of social media or putting something about themselves out. Um, Probably because I'm a bit lazy, it'd be too much like hard work having to get the responses. But again, that's part of where I need to be this year, and thinking about that. So yeah, if they're doing decent stuff anyway, what goes around comes. It's self-fulfilling, isn't it?
Your content strategy, you said that you hang out probably a bit too much on LinkedIn. Well, so do I. Love LinkedIn. I never thought in a lifetime I'd say that. I used to hate LinkedIn as an Instagram guy a decade ago. But what's your content strategy there? First, what's your goal? Is it like just engagement? Is it finding clients? Is it omnipresence? And second, like, yeah, how do you post to get a
Yeah.
bunch of shares and likes and engagement and comments?
Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. Sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. It's just weird. It depends. I think it depends how tired and hungry I am. Because you look at it, and it's just like all the same stuff, and it's boring, and people saying that. But then other days you look at it and go, "This is really cool." People are saying some great stuff, and you have some conversations. So probably depends on my mindset as much as anything. Um, I I have three, in very simple terms, a little bit more to it than this. I have three types of post that I will use, and I'll deploy across the week to achieve slightly different things. So I have engage, educate, and entice. And each of those posts has got a different objective. So an engage post does what it says on the tin, it's about engagement. So it's something that's very easy for people to comment on. It's probably more the personal stuff. If you ever see a picture of my cat, it's probably one of those engage posts. Yeah, the cat will be sat by the book, and I won't be just pure utter Facebook stuff. There'll be some kind of relevance to it, but they're very easy to get involved with. Polls still pretty cool, asking simple questions. The educate is where I'm giving more information. So that is where I know there's going to be less engagement on it. I don't care. It's written for the sales director of a manufacturing engineering company. They're the ones I want to see it and go, right, that guy knows what he's talking about. He is in our world. He's talking about things which are interesting to us. It's not relevant to the rest of the platform quite often. So I know it's going to perform worse likes and comments wise, but people are seeing it. And these come up in conversation when I talk to them. Oh, yeah, I saw you talk about so and so. It's quite surprising after that happens. Entice is when there's something with a bit more of an action, deliberate action I want taking place on that. New webinar, when I'm launching that, sign up, take the scorecard, DM me. It's clearly call to action on that. So they're the three basics. You can mix and match them a little bit. Like the ones I put with the educate, I often put a selfie with me or a chat on and stuff like that. So, but they're the three basic sorts that I will spread across the week, one a day.
And why do you hate LinkedIn sometimes?
It's just boring. People saying the same old stuff, just same. Um, and it's like, come on, we've talked about that. It's boring. But
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 is it boring
but
them or like
it's me. It's my problem.
you're disliking from these people that put up a corporate mask? Because that's my irritation with it. It's people that just recycle stuff and hope to get the likes and just shooting themselves in the foot, sort of. So
I no, you know what? I don't hate that. That's lack of education. That's a lack of understanding of how to use it, and I haven't got such a problem with that. You know, it's probably people that understand a little bit of how to use it and are gaming it a little bit more, and also saying, look, I say the same thing quite often, or keep in the same lane, But it's like, God, are we really? Cold calling's dead. Social selling's dead. Everything's dead. Everything dies every week and comes back to life the next week and dies again. And it's like, oh God, this is so boring. So I guess it's that. It's just I'm probably just saying it's I get shown stuff that I'm not really interested in, and so yeah, I just don't like that. So, but it just depends how grumpy I'm being at the time. Whether it's like scroll past, Fred, don't let it bother you, or get yourself angry if you want to. It's your problem, mate.
Yeah, I think some people are looking for some pattern interrupters when they start their post, to drag attention, but then you
Oh,
need to
I've
ask
never
yourself
done
the
that.
question, like, yeah, if it's actually worth it, because sometimes you sacrifice intellectualism and critical thinking for public approval. There can be some value into that, but I guess you need to sort of choose your camp, right? Me, I'm very much more going for the truth on my LinkedIn and unconventionality and trying to give insights to many people. But also, there's like novices that are starting out there and might love that content, right? While they're new
Yeah,
to the industry and might be valuable for them.
yeah, yeah. And I mess around. I do different things, and depends on what mood I'm in. But yeah, yeah, pattern interrupts, hooks. Yeah, I use them. Yeah. I took a sex toy to a sales meeting. I mean, look, I put that at once. Went quite well, funnily enough. Who can imagine why? I mean, you're going to click on that, aren't you? And then there was a legit story as to what happened, and someone was telling me about what was going on with it. So, but normally it's, yeah, come on, I'll have a bit of fun, but it's like here's valuable stuff for people in this world that I operate with, and look, take it, use it, and try and apply it. That's that's where I think I can add most value. But yeah,
I
I do put
think you're
pictures of
you're
cats,
like
and I do put pictures of myself.
you're a natural pattern interrupter. You don't like that word, but like you often go for weird and odds. I think that you have that into you.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah. I mean, the thing that I kind of stumbled across, and I just kept with it, and so it's become a bit of a pattern rather than interrupting pattern. But if you haven't seen it before, when I'm doing the education post, I usually have a selfie of me with an orange hat on.
Yeah.
And the story behind that is that one day I looked across my office, there's an orange hat, and I'd just been reading some stuff about De Bono. I'd just been trading some stuff about De Bono, the six thinking hats. I thought, oh, we ain't got an orange one. I've got an orange one. Oh, orange. That's the applied sales thinking hat. Just made it up, right? Put that as the post, and then some applied sales thinking. And then went, oh, what am I going to do next week? Oh, I'll do the same on Wednesday. And then next week, oh, I'll do the same on Wednesday. Wednesdays have become orange thinking hat days. So that's my, Fred, you're going to give good value on this day. Yeah, so it's decent thinking, but mix it up with the selfie where you got your silly hat on doing something a bit odd. So it's a bit engagement as well, isn't it? So yeah, we started to do combos. Um,
It's like
so yeah,
orange construction alerts or something like that.
but
Because I don't know, in Quebec, orange is construction, right? Everything orange is construction.
it's just that the hat was orange. My company colours are orange, and it was there. And that, De Bono doesn't have within the six thinking that's the orange hat. It's a white, blue, yellow, green, and black and red, isn't it? So that's why. But it's kind of eye catching and a bit funny, and so yeah,
Well,
I have a bit of a
Fred,
laugh with
thanks
it.
for the value today. You're entertaining. Where can people find out more about you?
LinkedIn, fully enough, Charles, because I spent too much time on it. But you know what? If somebody does want to reach out on there, mention that they heard us talk. Send me connect. Don't just follow. Connect and send me a message. And if you've got any questions, I'll be very happy to answer them. In fact, it'll help me write the post for the next day, probably.